Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon from wherever you are watching this. Uh, Once again, we have Miss Dilmi Mahadurage with us to continue with our spiritual discussion, so to say. And she is, just to give for those who are watching this for the first time, she is a graduate from Sri Jawadanpura University, Sri Lanka, in entrepreneurship. She is also a qualified SEMA, and then she is a neuro-linguistic practitioner, just to give you an introduction. Why we are inviting her to come into this discussion with us? Because she had an experience which she is now sharing with the spiritual seekers. So we see her as an important asset and the resource to take this up from time to time. We are sure that our audience will benefit as we go on. Now, today's topic is, who am I? Who are you? Or who am I? This is also a question, nothing new to the spiritual world, because there are so many spiritual speakers who are using this question to analyze a person, or what we call the self-discovery or inward journey. It's all about you, to ask yourself who you are. So with this question, usually the human beings are used to look at the world. I am here, the world is out there, so I have to deal with the world, I have to negotiate with the world. All the problems are happening to me. That's a usual human model. But Dilmi has a different way of explaining it, because ultimately this spiritual seeking must be visualizing the world from a different perspective. We can't find an answer from the usual model, and that's our general understanding. So let's hear from Dilmi. Dilmi, what is the importance of this topic? Who am I?
Yes, Dr. Vipula, I think this is the real question, who am I? Well, my journey, I started from asking what is the meaning of life, not who am I actually. But going forward with what is the meaning of my life, and then the question changed over time. And it changed to what is the truth, why I'm here, and what's going on in here. So question changed over time. But let me tell you, at the end of my journey, the last question I came up to was, who am I? And I came to this question because I was stripping off my identities, and I came to a place that I don't know who I am. And at the same time, I remember going back to my university time. I remember I went to the library of the university, and then I was just going through the books. Especially, I always go to the spiritual category. And then I went there and I got this book from Ramana Maharshi. And I just read the book, and he was like talking over and over and over again about who am I. And I was like, back then I was like in my, I started like the journey. And I didn't see, why? Like, who am I? Like, it just didn't resonate me at the time. But now when I look back, that was the last question I came to. And that's the question any truth seeker is supposed to go ahead with and ask from them, because that's after I went through the awakening, I realized, my God, that this is what the Ramana Maharshi was trying to say. But back then I didn't understand what he was trying to say. And that was not a genuine question which came out of me as who am I? But going forward with my journey, I came to the question, who am I? Because I was stripping off my identities one by one, and where I came to a very deep level of not knowing. Yeah.
Okay, so now I will ask you a very mundane question, from a very basic question. Now, when you say me, now when you say I consists of, usually if you ask anyone, they'll say it's a body-mind combination. That's a usual mundane description of an I.
Yeah.
There is this body, and so the body itself is a separate entity. It is a separate kind of a self. It is separate to, like a tree and another person, another house. It is standing separately. And the other one is the mind, which helps this body to do whatever it wants to do. But this description will not fit into what you want to communicate. I'm just asking you, it's a body-mind combination. Is it true?
Well, that is what we feel like, I am my body or I am my mind. And even now, like, even in the surface level, someone could even identify them as like, I am my career, I am my job, and I am this nationality, I am this religion. And so it's just not the body and mind. There are so many, and even people could even identify them as ideologies.
Right.
Even moreover, like they could even identify it with them as another person. They could get their sense of self through another person. This can go into, like, even they could get their self through an object, like they have a vehicle and out of that, or degree or whatever, the education. So this goes even more than body and mind, Dr. Vipula. So yeah, talking about this whole body and mind, I remember one time I was in the meditation, like it was about 11:30 p.m. in the night. I was in my bedroom and I was seated in my bed. And I think I don't do very long meditations, like maximum it goes around 1 hour, and then I was seated. I was very silent outside. And I just sat in the meditation and I closed my eyes and I felt very deep. And then more deep I went there, like I came to a place I didn't feel my body at all. It just, my body completely disappeared. And I could, at the same time, I could see my mind was getting panicked because the body doesn't feel here, like. And I could say that was the first time I experienced that, to a sense that I am not my body. And after, and that was a profound experience for me because, wow, like for that moment, I just completely, body was not there. And I could see the whole illusion of that whole, I am my body. And then going back to the I am my mind, and that's the real disidentification happened, like in my awakening, where I realized that I'm not even my mind, because we are so caught. I think I was more than anything caught up with my mind. I really believed I am my mind. And when I talk about this whole talking about the mind concept, I remember this whole story from Eckhart Tolle, and he shares his story. And he was in his like I think 29 or somewhere like that, he was in a depressive state. And I think he was in his home alone. And when he was at this time, like he just came to a point like he couldn't take himself, like at that particular moment, because he was so depressed. At that particular moment, he got a thought that saying that I can't be with myself. And then at that particular moment, another thought came up. Oh, if I can't be with myself, am I one or two? And that was the place that he disidentified with his mind. That and after that thought, everything became so silent for him, and just and as if everything stopped. So, like, this is the reality. It's like, even though we are so identified with our mind and the body, we are not that.
Right. That's now, that is beyond the usual model of accepting I am not the mind and I am not my body. Now, what happens, the experience that you just described is something that we heard from various other spiritual seekers. Also, if you remember Kenneth Madden, who was addressing an audience, he said, one day I was meditating. I had never done meditation. I was invited to a session, meditated there. That's it. For me, I got up, and that me is gone. And that's how he said it. Me is gone. And then I also noticed that there are no other me's outside, So that was the best they could explain this experience. Now we'll come to this. Now you said, who am I? When you are addressing this question, there are so many things, and you just described. So I would probably say, academically, when you do analysis, okay, first it's the body mind and usual acceptance. Then comes your family, your career, and your position, and your this thing, everything. Your age and your friends, your relationships, all that comes. So that also, that is cementing that me concept. And there's something else also, that is what I call the ego, the subtle ego that is working inside. That ego, I don't want to explain that you can see it everywhere, that egoic factor, the way people are responding. When you go for a debate or rather an argument, one might want the last word in, things like that. That's that egoic factor. So combining this whole thing, the way I saw it, when you say I am or me, I am everything. You name it, and that's me. The things that I know, the things that I don't know, all that composes this person called me. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, that's another way to say it, who you are. And that's
All
your
right,
nothingness. At the same time,
it's
you're
everything.
everything.
Everything and nothing. Now, can I ask this, which I should have asked you a little earlier? When you said you sat to meditate, what did you meditate on at that time?
That's a good question. I forgot to even share that, Dr. Vipula. Well, I sat down, and honestly speaking, sometimes I get really bored with the meditation too, And then I sit down and I just take up anything that comes to me,
Okay.
At that time, the most, what resonated with me was just listening to the silence around, because the silence I felt very deep at that particular moment. So what I just practiced was just listening to the silence or listening to the sounds around you. Basically what I did was just listening. And I went very deeper and deeper and deeper. And then suddenly my body disappeared.
When you say you went deeper, means into the silence or into the thoughts or into your feelings, sensations? Exactly what did you do?
Into the silence.
The reason why I asked that question is, the people who are watching this,
Yeah.
Naturally they want to know, I would like to have your experience, which may be different from person to person. But nevertheless, that is the natural question that will arise from the audience. What exactly did you do? So basically, you went into silence. Now, I understand what you said. In spite of all this noise around us, there is silence in the background.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, you can even listen to that silence. But is that what you are saying, consciousness? Because the word consciousness is hovering around the spiritual world all the time.
Yeah.
Do you call it that silence consciousness?
Well, consciousness, I would say, not just the silence, Dr. Vipula. Like even the form is consciousness. What I mean to say, you and me is consciousness. All the objects that we see here is consciousness. It's not just the background, but at the same time, whatever inside the background, also I say it as consciousness. Everything is consciousness. And you are this vast consciousness and this infinite. And in this consciousness, all the shapes, everything is within it because it's infinite.
And you are like a wave rising from the ocean.
Yes.
Somewhere.
But you
No,
are the ocean.
Right. I still want to, grill you into this experience. The reason is, when you were focusing on silence and when you went deep into silence, isn't it that you disregarded the mind? You gave no attention to the mind because the mind is trying to pull you out of that. No, I mean, the mind will generate thoughts after thoughts after thoughts. But the fact that you were focused, you're paying attention to the silence, which means that my mind went silent. Is that how you would like to describe?
Well, Dr. Vipula, I can't say mind wasn't there. Like mind was, like thoughts were there. Yet I was being conscious of it. It was not an issue or a disturbance for me to listen to the silence or be with it. But at the same time, I could see, that's why I said, like, when my body was panicking, I could at the same time see, like, the mind is just going crazy. Oh my God, like this, like I could see, like, literally the mind just going nuts, And so mind was there in the background. Yeah, it was there, but at the same time, I was very much merged with that silence. And
This experience you had, or what we would like to call awakening, because it's not a usual experience that we come across in our day-to-day mundane life. That awakening, that feeling that you had, did it continue and you still have that kind of a experience since the day you had that until today?
yeah, so this is not exactly the 2019 awakening that I talked about, Dr. Vipula. This is some experience that I had in my life many years before that.
All right.
I didn't even take it, and even though that I had a mini death experience, I shared it as if it's a mini death experience, because I like it just opened up to me, So, but yeah, so where we were, yeah.
So now, then you go to the next one in 2019. How you relate that one?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. So, yes, that was always in the background. That was your question. Yes, that was always in the background. And like, I just came back to the normal life and I felt very disoriented. That doesn't mean that, like, it just completely vanished, because that was not something like I used some like psychedelic or anything like that in order for me to have a high just like that. But that experience I had very organically, with the meditation and the practices and everything. And then I just suddenly just open up to the reality. So it was always there in the background. And yes, there were times that there places where if there was a strong identity, like strong conditioning coming up, that I identified for some time. I just got caught up with the dream again, but it's just matter of time. Then I realized this is just
So at that time, the learning was that I am not this body, and I'm not even the mind, because you said the mind was wondering what happened. So
yeah,
that was a clear seeing of not owning this body, over which you have no control anyway. I mean, even if you look at uh, in the finite world, when you look at your body, I mean, you have no control over anything that what the
yeah,
body does,
yeah,
except
yes,
that we make it, just appear better.
yeah,
Other than that,
yeah.
the body functions on its own. Now let's go to your other awakening that you experienced in 2019, and how you gradually moved towards that, and then what happened there.
How I gradually moved from what do you mean, like from that experience that I felt like body just vanished? Is from there
Yeah,
to the awakening? Is there your question?
yeah, your later experiences thereafter.
Yeah, actually, like, are you asking about the practices, Dr. Vipula?
No, was there
Yeah.
any kind of a similar awakening thereafter, or
Okay, so there were experiences like one time I remember. Uh, uh, so this is when I was going to the university. I was in my room again meditating on my bed, and I was just seated. And at that time also, I remember I was just doing something very simple, like listening to the silence or the listening to the sounds around. And I remember when I was doing this particular meditation, I remember there was this, I can't remember exactly what was the sound. I think it was the sound of a bird. And I was listening to that sound very deeply. And suddenly I became that sound
all right,
to a moment. Like I became that sound, like I literally became it. So there was another experience that I had, which was like very profound, but at the same time I didn't give so much attention to it. And even when I talked, like I remember after some years, when I talked about with my teacher, he didn't give me so much, like a spiritual teacher, he didn't give so much attention. So I didn't want to get caught up with any of these experiences. So I was just letting them go, and just because again, like whether you're identified with a car or a house or a man or whatever, identifying with this experience is just the same.
right,
These are more like even shiny than the material stuff, especially people who are in the spiritual journey. They could really get identified and caught up with these experiences. So yeah, that was very simple. I just became that sound and totally like the sound.
Right.
Yeah.
So last time we took up this topic, is life an illusion or a
Yeah.
Maya or
Yeah.
a dream? We discussed that. So your realization that this is nothing but a dream, or a matrix, or a mind-driven thing, was it similar to that experience that you had in 2009? I mean, seeing this as a dream, was it an experience or was it a realization over a period of time?
Well, I could say that at that time there was some shift which happened in me, because I felt I got then insight how illusionary is this so-called self, because I literally became that sound. At that time, like Dilmi wasn't there, because I became that sound. So there was I could say, a very insightful experience. But at the same time, it was like a glimpse to the awakening that I had in 2019. Because at the time, Dilmi was in there, and then at the same time, I remember like times when that was happening, the thought came to me like, who am I? And I was like, it was not even a thought, it was just, I literally felt like I am the sound, so it was an insight. I can't really say that there was an experience, but let's say it as a glimpse to what I went through in 2019. Because I can say that was really helped me at the same time to see the whole illusion of so-called self, that I just that became this.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this is the radical one, which usually the average people. No, I mean, I can't say average people, even the scientists or the medical field, and people from all sectors, they don't accept when you say there is no you, or there is no I.
Yeah.
When you use that in the usual day-to-day environment. However, the radical part is that if there is no self, who sees this or who experiences the liberation? Now, this is the natural question that comes out. If you see that you are not there, you are not the body, you are not the mind, then who sees or who recognizes that there is no you or your body or mind, and the world is also an illusion? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, so what's really happening is, Dr. Vipula, consciousness experiencing consciousness, and then it's like you recognizing who is looking at. And that is the eternal who you are. That is the real who you are, because all other things are just identification for temporary periods. But that which is there is always there. And sometimes I say this thing like, nothing ever happened. Nothing is ever happening. And nothing will ever happen. It was the case the whole time.
Okay,
And that is
now,
what I could say. It's a consciousness experiencing consciousness. Yeah.
is it something like, okay, consciousness is this vast, I mean, let's say it's a vast space for
Yeah.
just this
Yeah.
discussion purpose. And if the consciousness is experiencing consciousness by way of a finite mind, if that is the closest description you can give, then what appears out of this consciousness is a self and the experience of that self with the world out there, with the sun and the moon, and
Yeah.
and that is the part that you would like to call a matrix or a maya or a dream. But in reality, that is not the case. All that is there is the consciousness. Would you like to comment on that?
Everything is consciousness. Whatever you experience is consciousness. And it's like we are so we are so used to like seeing these objects, in this consciousness. But at the same time, the background itself is consciousness too. So going back to your question, what was your question, Dr. Vipula? Again, yeah.
Okay, I'll put it in a different way. Then it's now seeing that you are, or recognizing that you are also consciousness, and what you are experiencing is also consciousness. The better view that you had through awakening is that the importance that you gave for this finite stuff, it gradually diminished, and then the real consciousness emerged. Is that what happened? Because then your day to day, and when you're hungry you go and eat, and when you have to dress you will dress, and you will talk to someone. I mean, the life goes on. It came down to that very basic, and then the overall consciousness took over. And so your attention to everything that a human being would give importance to, it diminished. Is that what happened? Did you do it deliberately by an effort, or it happened on its own?
Yeah, I could say it happens on its own. I was not like putting effort, but what I've heard in my life is like, okay, I need to really detach from these things and just let go of these things, let go of the identification. But honestly, that was not what happened, Dr. Vipula, because it just, what happened was like more like, I saw the reality of things, and then like when you see this is just another thought, or the reality of these things just made out of like let's say your dream, whatever the characters in the dream was made out of the dream material, let's say whatever it's created, when you see that it's just nothingness, will you just get attached to that particular thing anymore? It just you see the whole futility of it, and then it drops on its own without any effort, And so if I take this example for it, like, let's say you are just running towards, let's say you are in a desert, and then you're running towards water, and you can see there's a fountain of water and just there. And then you're just running towards it because you can see there's water, and then you're so thirsty. And suddenly you just get the vision, oh my God, that's just a mirage. But you were running towards it.
Right.
But now my question is, will you run towards it even after seeing that's a mirage, or you will stop?
So that, no, for sure, because that is the convincing part. You are convinced that it is a mirage. I understand
Exactly.
that. But the point is that then this illusion that you are a self with a body-mind combination, and then everything is out there. I remember asking you this question last time also. It has to be 100% or 150% a perfect illusion, because otherwise, because you are caught everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's get into this. Now, say, take myself, right? And this is illusory. This is a dream, including myself, right? Including myself.
Yes.
It's happening. And in the dream, if, only if, there is an occurrence that, hey, this is a dream, this is not really happening, then even when you are in the dream, there is a possibility that this knowledge, I don't know where it has to come from, then it can release you. Okay, when you know for sure this is a dream. Now that for sure part is the magic,
Yeah.
Can you just talk about it so that, I mean, give one or two examples, so I think our viewers will benefit from this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a magic really recognizing the truth. Like the magic is that you are missing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, it's just always there. It's just, it's once your thought process, because every, each moment it's there, but once this whole thought process, because these thoughts are very much fast, and it's run, like it just makes you more and more run towards it. And once the thought process just stop for a moment, and that's what you are, and it's always there. In terms of the fish needs to ask what is water, like the who am I. But here it's more even intimate than that. What you are seeking is who you are. Yeah.
So, in other words, I'm still trying to get now, say, who am I? So who am I is definitely not this body. Even in finite terms, it can't be, because you can't call this my body because you have no control. Mind, again, people think that you can control your mind, which is probably just a fallacy. You think you can control your mind.
That's what I did. What I tried to do my entire life, and then I was utterly defeated.
Yes. Now, having said that, the recognition that you are trying to describe would also mean that there cannot be space and there cannot be time. This is just an appearance. Is that how you would like to? Because you have to describe, even if it is.
That's it. It's just appearance coming up and just going from your side. It's just appearance and that's it. That's just pretty much it.
Is it a continuous appearance, or is it, it's like, how would you say, okay, I'm looking at a building, and then I look at a tree, and the building is here and the tree is here. So what you're suggesting is this appearance where I see a building, but I have no thoughts. I'm just looking at it through my eyes. And then I look at a tree. Now, between these two, the building and the tree, how shall I say, the way we are conditioned, I would say I looked at the building and now I'm looking at the tree. But in your description, this appearance. Is it happening? Okay, now you are looking at the building, which is one appearance, and now you are looking at the tree, another appearance. Is that how you?
That's it. It's just appearing and disappearing. Just like in the dream that you are having at night. That's how it goes.
Meaning that this is not happening, and it never happened, and it wouldn't happen.
Yes.
But I think as a concession to this description, we will probably I would like you to come down a little bit and use a couple of other examples so that it will help the people, because usually the moment you hear something like that, there is a tendency for a audience to say, what is this, you mean this
So
is not
someone
happening?
could probably get triggered and at the same time completely disconnected, and what kind of a nonsense is she's talking. But but that is the thing, the truth is in the minority and it's not in the mainstream culture. But when we hear these things, it sounds like nonsense, but that's the problem, the same is appeared as insane, and insane is appeared as sane.
Yeah. I'm trying to find a bridge. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find a bridge from the mundane, finite life to this realization. The point is, last time I remember asking you, when you are in a dream, you have no escape. You are very much indulged in this self. I, me. Every time you talk, it's I and I and I. Now, what happens is that if that is the case in a dream or illusion, that person called I, have no escape from this. But then you said, no, there is an escape. And then you gave a couple of things. And probably now, when you are talking today, you might come up with something else. I don't know what. I mean, I'm asking you for you to give some responses spontaneously. But it is probably silly to ask, is there anything that I have to do? That might be a bit, like, then you are still caught up in me and a goal. But any different way of looking at this, different way. That's why I said, for me, like, when you say I, it has no meaning unless you bring everything into this. I is everything. And it seems very justifiable. I can't just isolate I and say, okay, this is a body mind. It doesn't make sense. But I would like to hear from you.
So
finite and the dream.
So can you, doctor, what do you expect from
probably
me?
I will ask another question, because then it is much better, because then you will at least respond to this question. Now, in this dream, now say you sleep and then you dream. Now you are using the word dream only as an example, right? Only as an example. But if this is a dream like, then in this dream also we sleep and wake up. In this dream also we sleep and wake up. Or you never slept, or you never woke up.
It's just, like you never woke up. It was the whole reality the whole time. And so the reality was the case the whole time. There was nothing changed, but it was just you were having a dream the whole time, just having a dream. Like it was a very deep sleep, because you are so identified and caught up with this whole the character. So let's say, Dr. Vipula, like if I take an example, let's say you're just wearing a VR, have you heard about this whole virtual reality?
Right.
So let's say you are being, I take you out at age 3 or 4, and then I put that VR onto you, and then I just, let's say you're just age 3 or 4, I take you and then I put the VR onto you, and then I just bind you in this whole chair, and then you stay there. We give food and everything what you require. And imagine you just stay there for 30, 40 or 50 years just like that. You will get really, really identified with these characters.
Oh, yeah, that's a good example, I think.
You will get you will even rebel if I try to take that PR out of here, because you will be like, because now you are so, because let's say, to be very honest, telling, like you're watching a movie at night, like, so let's say 3-4 hours, like let's say 3 hours, you're watching a dream, sorry, watching a movie. And then when you're watching that movie, even for those 3 hours, you're so caught up and identified with the character. It's 3 hours. Let me tell you, you're so caught up with that. And you're even crying for the character. You're just a whole up, like totally in there. So
And the
imagine I
movie,
do that for the whole 30-40 years. Now you will be just so invested, so invested. So this is just exactly like that, and you're so caught up with the characters, and now you really imagine, even though those characters are not you, now you are identified with that character, and you're just going move with it, you know. And then one day someone just remove it and say, "Oh, that was not your reality. This is your reality," you know. But you imagine.
as you have played in a drama in a particular character, and then you come out also, you think you are the same character.
Exactly, that's the problem here. That's the problem here, you know.
Now, in that case, now you are finding it very difficult to, like demarcate. This is A, finite. This is B. I think it's very difficult. But because the language has a lot of limitations when describing a thing like that.
Exactly,
Because
doctor. Even when I say I experienced the awakening,
yeah.
that itself says that there's a person who experienced this. So it's completely just not the truth. And that's why I've heard this whole Lao Tzu book. And he's always saying, well, if you're saying about the truth, that's not it. You know, that's so wise of him to say it, you know, because whatever you say about the truth is not the truth. And it's just a pointers, just like your book says, in a pointers to the enlightenment, you will be telling things, and you will be just pointing to the moon, but your finger is not the moon, you know. Yeah.
So usually what happens is, if now you do counseling, you help people out, and because you also went through a difficult time in life with mind-driven kind of a thing, and therefore you would like to help out. And I mean, your contact number is there. People can call you, and you can be more realistic when you are advising
I think
someone.
my
That
email address is there. I think my contact number is not there. My email address will be there. So if someone wants to contact me, so that they can
you can
do
respond.
it. Yeah.
And of course, Dilmi is not doing it in a very elaborate way, like advertising, but anyone who contacts her, she's willing to,
Yeah,
spend
honestly,
some.
I'm working with very few individuals, like because
Exactly.
I
So
want to maintain the quality of that what I
exactly.
do. So I just work like limited, like with 10 people or somewhere, like that's only
That's right. What
the
I meant
people
was
I
that you are
take.
not advertising. You're
Yes,
not advertising to come more people, and it's not because
yes,
this is a very crucial subject. Now, okay, one more question. Now, let's say you talk to someone who wants to know the truth, who wants to know the reality, who wants to know who am I, this very question.
yeah,
And then when you explain, you might give one or two examples. You will take that person along a particular journey, and then you explain, and you come to this illusory part. And that illusory part, the moment you touch that, the moment you cross that line, I'm not saying into the other side, but into that illusory thing, this is not really happening. Your perception is wrong. When the moment you say that, it's difficult for you to look back again, because then you are just messing it up, because as you said, everything that you are saying is not true. And then you look back and say, all what I said is not true, because this is what it is, right? So you have that dilemma with you, right? And when you try to explain.
Yeah, exactly, Dr. Vipul. Like whenever I try to explain this truth, it's not it, because like someone asked me, how did you feel when you have been through the awakening? And then I just stopped for a moment and I said, take happiness and unhappiness and put that together. What is that?
Mm.
You know? And because I was neither happy nor I was unhappy, because of why? Like it was such an
Mm.
difficult way to explain. Like, yes, I cried, but it was not out of unhappiness or happiness, you know? And so, yeah, like it's just very difficult to describe this in words. And I have so much appreciation for people who try to do it because, and there's even saying that I've heard in Lord Buddha's story, like Buddha was like thinking, like, am I really want to tell this to people? Do I really need to tell this? How can I even tell this? This is all upside down. Whatever they are, because people are so invested in this illusion. Just like I described the VR, like imagine if I put that and I made you stay like
Mm.
that for 30, 40 years. Now you will rebel, Dr. Vipula. You will say,
Yeah.
no, my God, give me the bloody VR to me. I
Exactly.
don't want this reality. Like, so you get what I'm saying. So
Actually,
yeah, it's not
no,
easy. Yeah.
no, I don't want to bring religions into this,
Yeah,
nor the
yeah,
philosophies. But
yeah.
if you really look back, I have been into comparative religion, and just to make a remark only, uh,
Yeah.
uh, during the lifespan of Lord Buddha or Jesus Christ, and the people who were around them, once again, there are two sides to this. On the one hand, they are not, like educated, so-called educated people. These are average people who have flocked around them.
Yeah.
If you look at their life stories. But on the other hand, this is also part of the dream. It is also a dream
Yeah.
in which this message is arising. This message, this little message is arising.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I do not say that is also, a dream-like experience in which this is arising, of course, this might distort, kind of the version. So, I'm the one who is raising this question, so you are not implicated for that. All what I'm saying is we don't want to, bring religions into this. But the
Yeah, for
fact,
sure.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but the fact remains that this is not something that you can learn and study. This is just an occurrence or a realization. And I think
Yes.
we mentioned this last time. Um, uh, the student, when the student is ready,
The
the
teacher appears.
yes, and then you said something else.
When the student is really ready, the teacher disappears.
Yeah. But at the
Yeah,
same
because
time,
I think that the last part is very deep, and only a person who went through an awakening could see the depth of Doctor. Like it's very, yeah, because even your teacher is an illusion at the end, which is difficult to recognize because you're so in connected to that person, and to recognize even that is not easy. Yeah.
so that's why I brought in this. Now, if you take Buddhist philosophy, now in one of the things Lord Buddha said, Nisatto, Nisjivo, Sunyato, there's nothing, there's nothing. So that
Yeah.
means all his sermons come to a point, and then when you look back, it's everything is gone, So
Yeah.
you come to that, and then everything ends there. So this is the dilemma now. When you try to explain this, we are not relating to any religion, but at one point you will find that your audience will kind of rebel, and they will say, why are you saying, I'm seeking, some kind of advice from you, and then you are taking me to this point, and you are explaining the nature of existence, but it's not kind of helping me, and I want an advice for me, that is this body mind. So this is a problem probably um, that you have constantly, right, when you talk to your people.
Like about the yeah, like how to yes, for sure. Yeah, doctor.
Yeah, so I feel that the message is hovering around and it's very much there and it's with you already, right? It's with you already. It's just that your mind wails, you are caught up in this. And I do not know, we might have to discuss in different topics under different kind of terminologies. We'll discuss this because if you are convinced, and as you rightly said, what more do I have to do to see this reality? You gave a nice example for that. I can't remember now. That you are for sure, this is it. Then it is also some kind of a obligation on our part to bring you out and to get this message across. Be it a
Yeah,
dream, be it an illusion, but get the message across. The message. I mean that. What shall I say? I mean, basically, Dilmi is not Dilmi. Dilmi is not the person whom I'm looking at. It's a
yeah,
message that we are interested in. So,
exactly.
yeah, so that's why I said that we will continue this discussion. And I would like to share with us, we have few more minutes,
Yeah,
how the audience can look at this whole thing, the paradox. This is happening and this is not happening.
yeah. So our mind is like, yeah, our mind is so such that like want to get into one extreme because that's what is comfortable with. But this truth is neither this nor that. You know, it is in the because people always like that's why they think like you got to go and live in an spiritual life and then that you just completely like disregard the materialism and all that, but no, that's not the case, and that's why I'm living this life, because it doesn't need to be this way, it has to come both together, and whatever I mean, whatever I'm saying I will contradict in a later time, and it will be a paradox with the that's how it is. Like it might be very confusing sometimes for people to even hear because sometimes I might contradict whatever I say at a
Mm,
later point because that's how it's going to be, because like but we are like when we are identified with our mind, our normal tendency is to always go to an extreme and identify, but that's not where the thing is. It's just both coming together, so mostly one of the practices that I do is like when people are caught up with one extreme, I just take them into the other extreme with my clients, so it's just not easy. It's just very disorienting for the person, like, and it's like let's say you are just you are identified with being an introvert. Now you are being pushed towards become do things of an extrovert. So your personality drops just like that.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, it is a paradox, and that's how the personality is created, Dr. Vipula, because through these extremes, when you just make them to this extreme and that falls down. It's not that the person goes to this extreme and now get identified. No, that just,
Yeah.
neutralize the whole process. Yeah.
That danger is there, right? It's when you say there's nothing happening, you tend to acquire another self or an ego into that and start detaching from everything.
Yeah.
There was someone who
And
said,
then again, that's again another way of,
yeah.
yeah.
I remember it was Rupert Spira who said, the world is not an illusion. I mean, these are his. I think maybe I'm paraphrasing. I don't know, but this is what he said. The world is not an illusion, but the way you perceive the world is an illusion. I couldn't understand that. Did you?
The way you perceive is an illusion.
The world is not an illusion, but the way you perceive it is an illusion. I do not know how to kind of what he meant, or maybe it's because the way we discuss this, there are
Yeah,
no two positions. Illusion is an illusion.
yeah. Well, the reality is, yes, it is an illusion, and then, but at the same time, Dr. Vipula, I'm not sure whether what he meant by that, but then again, like most of the people are living not in the now. They are living in their created mind conceptual world. So they see the world as not as it is. They see that all through this conceptual world filters.
But if you say that, then there is a notion, oh, the way I perceive it is wrong, but there is something else which is right. Now again, it can confuse people, right? That means there's
Yeah, and
another
then
world.
that is illusion in the illusion, that the conceptual thing. And then let's say that's what I say, that even with like people say that it comes to the now, and now people think, oh, now is the reality. Okay, this is
Yeah.
it. This is the
Yeah.
reality. No, what I'm saying is even this is not the reality. Even then you got to go beyond even this whole so-called now,
Yeah.
like whatever you see, this is the reality. Okay, you see me. Oh, yeah, you got to go even beyond that, because there's a truth even beyond. Like as you said you said the word shunyata, and which is to say nothingness, and that's what is the reality. And it's like you are this nothingness the whole time. You are this spaciousness. But the thing is, we get so caught up with this whole, like the mind, like the thoughts, and then we get so small. But you are not that. You are just spaciousness. You are just this vast spaciousness.
So then if you use the language, it may be proper to say, now this is a very radical version, we cannot find the right people or wrong people, good people, bad people, rational people, irrational people, the one who are committing sins and the ones who are gaining merit. There are no people, right? And what shall I say? In language, yes, day to day when I'm talking to you, we are relating a story, but in reality, you can't come to that judgment, can you?
No, yeah. In
Okay.
absolute, there's no good and bad. There's no right and wrong. It's all relative. Good compared to this. Like that's why, like in the spiritual journey, like if someone knows, like you got to love even your evil side. Because you are both angel and evil. That's why you do the shadow work and recognizing, wow, like whatever you are seeing as evil is also inside within you, which you have been repressing. And when you see that in the outside world, you get triggered, which is something that already within you, because that's why you get personal, because it's just within you, Yeah.
This person recognizing these two sides that are conflicting in you, it is seen. I can't say you are seeing it, but it is seen that this conflict that is in you, which you may not relate to anyone, only you know what it is. But that seeing that you are both, you are this duality, that itself is some kind of an achievement, isn't it? Like
It is, to recognize, my God, even I am not a good person, as I think, And that's what I said, Dr. Vipula, like you got to have brutal honesty
Yeah, I agree.
in this process. If you like just try to be like this good person and yeah, but like recognizing the reality of like having that realities within you, that the good and the evil is within you is such an humbling experience, because I saw that within myself. Like sometimes when I see that there's something, when I see this person is so wrong and all that, but then I can see just like what I did is like I just look within myself what's going on inside me, like that. Sometimes the way, like I remember the way I perceive of this world is like only, and then I recognize something to do with me. It's not the world really, just something, because there's no other person here. It's only a mind. That's why it's very important, something like shadow work in someone's life, because you just see your own mind everywhere. It's you.
And
You
that,
are being partitioned into many things.
yes, indeed. Now that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, that's a simple explanation. You are just, it's kind of a, you are linked, and you are separated into every bits and pieces. But I mean, it's unexplainable, inexplicable. So that is also, before I conclude, I would say, Dilmi, now seeing this by no one could well be liberation also. I mean, there are no people liberating, but itself is liberation, because there's no one to suffer, there's no one to reach anywhere, there's no one to struggle to get to the next moment, right? It's liberating, just to hear this itself is liberating.
It is very liberating. It is very liberating. I remember even like back then I didn't have any experience, but listening to people who were talking about this truth just really soothed me and just made me like very comforting, and there was the only hope that I had, in my life, like, okay, this is what I want to. That's when it is very soothing, because it's like, and this, like, once you, this whole, any conflict that we have is within because of the separation inside,
Indeed.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of suffering,
Yes,
and the beginning of
beginning of the
suffering, yeah, because
suffering,
it's
because we
nothing but
just
suffering.
go more and more multiplied with this separation. More we grow, more that separation become more and more like, and then at the end, we are suffering because of this whole conditioning of like, it's just the mind just partition it into past, a lot of division. And then there's the conflict, And that's
No,
the
it is.
thing, like sometimes, like the reason I just didn't go very much deep into religions was like I didn't understand the theory that I felt like the religion, the very thing which unite, needs to be uniting the people. I realized that because I've seen that people are just having like arguments. One religion saying I am right, and this person is saying I am this is right, like, so what, like the very thing which is supposed to unite the people is like now separated and divided, and then I didn't understand the whole logic of that, so that's why I got into this whole spirituality, which there's no religion, it's just simple.
Right. All right. So with that, we can come to a conclusion of today's session. And I must say the reason why we are spending this time is for the benefit of someone out there. We don't know. And it's a message, and it's not a message that is coming to you to say that this is the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Just take it and listen to that and watch this and see, apply and take a hard look at yourself and see whether there's anything that you can take out of this conversation, and then we'll be very happy to answer your questions. And next time, if you can always write to Dilmi. She has her email in the YouTube, and maybe it will end up in a very liberating experience. So thank you, Dilmi, indeed, and you are also spending this time on Sundays, and we are doing this again as a social thing. And we think, like this time that we are spending will eventually be left for the future generation, so that anyone who click accidentally or otherwise will hear this message. So thank you once again, Dilmi. Appreciate very much.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.